Well, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are live streaming again. So, this is every Tuesday and Thursday. I'm your host, Nate, or Mr. H, of course. Today is a really pretty action-packed live stream. We've got lots to cover. We've got all the Star Wars news. We've got we've got all this business with Henry Cavill, Superman. We've got more Halloween Ends situation going on. We've even got Ralph Fiennes, Voldemort himself, coming out and defending J.K. Rowling. So I want to talk about all of this stuff today. A few bits and pieces to sort of go over. First and foremost, in the description box, you'll find a link to Mr. H Reviews live archives. That is where these streams go now, as well as highlights from each and every single stream. So please do check out that channel, hit a subscribe, give it a like, turn the bell notifications on, because you will get some very, very interesting highlights. I understand not everyone can watch 2-hour long videos, streams, so I break it down for you over the next couple of days. As always with me are my co-hosts. We've got Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge. How you doing, good sir?
I'm here, scruffy as hell, but I'm here. I need a
Wow.
shave bad.
Wow.
I'm just looking at myself and I'm just like, look at that. I look like Santa Claus.
If anyone follows me on Twitter, you would have seen the Brie Larson /
Oh, I did. I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one. That's all I'm gonna say.
Anyway,
my mom always said, if you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all.
We've got Paulie from the Latino Slam again, fellow co-host. How are you doing, good sir?
Behave, Nate.
It's his show. He can say whatever the hell he wants.
I haven't called you Latinx. All right. How you doing, Paulie? How you doing from the Latino slant?
Yeah.
So don't get this twisted.
How long before it's the Latinx slant?
Oh no! Don't rile him up.
Where's the Tom eject button? I'm
how are you doing, Paulie?
I'm feeling great. You're right, man. There's just so much going on, and it seems that everything we're going to touch on has maybe like at least 10 different layers.
It's pretty full on today. It is a pretty full on episode. Discussion, roundtable, whatever we're going to be calling these things. So just as a few bit of housekeeping, ladies and gents watching, so the channels for both Tom and Paulie are linked down below in the description box. Please do check them out. Please do support them. Also, if you want to support this show to keep the lights on, literally help with super chats. So drop them in the comments. We'll get through to them periodically. And it's also a good way of you joining the discussion directly and helping navigate the conversational sort of thread. But I think first and foremost, shall we talk about Star Wars? Let's talk about Star Wars. So Star Wars has got a new movie.
I thought Star Wars was dead.
Yeah, I thought Star Wars was dead. Well, who's asking for this, first and foremost? No one is asking for this. The market doesn't dictate this movie be released. It doesn't dictate that this movie is even wanted at this point in time. No one is asking for this product. And yet Disney have been quietly working on this for some time with none other than Damon Lindelof, of all people, to throw out there. And I see Tom is...
Yeah, on the Lindelof thing, it's kind of funny because in Cosmic News drops this today. Or yesterday, Star Wars. Disney reports wants Kathleen Kennedy to stop announcing new projects.
Yep. That's a second source too. That's not just one source there.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean,
well, Tom,
this is the thing.
I was going to say, Tom, take it away with that. What's your thoughts on this? Obviously,
I'm not surprised. It's kind of the same thing we've been hearing, and Andre has a video coming up where he kind of posits a similar thing, is that this whole idea of all these Star Wars movies we keep hearing, there's a reason why they keep getting announced and then canceled or pushed back. and it's because Kathleen Kennedy is pulling this crap, and nobody wants these things. As Chapek and Iger both have said separately throughout the last couple of years, we're putting Star Wars movies on hold. We're not going to have Star Wars movies for a while. We're going to back off on Star Wars for a bit. How many times have we heard this now? Yet every other day we're getting some new announcement. Yeah.
Yeah, the last one was in 2019, which really shocked me to hear that. Have that sort of reminded to me. It's, you know, you hear about it, you're like, yeah, 2019, wow, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But it does feel like a really, really long time ago. And I mean, I guess it is in Star Wars terms,
and we're
not,
still looking at
new Star Wars
2024, 25 at least before another one, if that.
2025 apparently.
Yeah.
So Paulie, opinions on this?
Right. I saw your video, and remember the Rise of Soy Walker came out Christmas 2019, 2020.
They're
It was
still
kind of one of the
filming it,
last
though.
films. Excuse me, Tom?
They're still shooting it as we speak, though. So.
Apparently. Oh my God. And it was one of the last films I saw before the lockdown, right? It was like in March. As far as in the theater.
Yeah.
And so it's such a bad taste in all of our collective, memories. But to even suggest that they're going to have any of those characters in any of those three films come back for a new film. And so they're saying it's a one-off and it's not part of the continuing, not part of the Skywalker saga. Okay, well, are they going to say that, if they bring back Rey, well, Rey's not a Skywalker. It's just so horrible.
Yeah.
It's just so like, you're right. No one's asking for this.
Yeah.
And
I
not
mean,
just that.
And then go ahead.
I was just going to say, you brought up that it's just one singular movie, right? So is, as far as we understand, Taika Waititi's project and the Jon Favreau or not Jon Favreau, Kevin Feige project as well. They're all one shots. Yeah. But what did Kathleen Kennedy say in her last big interview? When she was asked about Rian Johnson and all that stuff, she's like, we need to learn how to plan these things out. We need to take time and plan out these things. So clearly they're just doing one-offs. What do you need to plan for a one-off? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, this is the thing. So this is a much deeper look at this whole Star Wars saga, pun intended. So we Deadline broke the news, then the Hollywood Reporter. This tends to happen, ladies and gents, if you don't know, and obviously you guys will know this, is that everyone knows this. They're waiting for someone to break the news, and then the floodgates open. Most people will be aware that these things happen. They've got their own sources. So Hollywood Reporter was aware of this, but Deadline broke the news because no one wants to be the one that breaks the news unofficially outside of, the studio sanctioning it and having them file notices for copyright or legal action, cease and desist, which they can do. And they've done it with me on certain topics here on the channel. And so the news broke, Deadline broke the news, then the Hollywood Reporter came out with a much, much, much more in-depth take instantly, just like that. So they knew about this. Everyone's known about this for some time. And this is the interesting thing is that, so you've got Damon Lindelof, which is a name that a lot of people are like, who? It looks like Lex Luthor. It's not. I promise you, it's not going to be Lex Luthor. But he might as well be the Lex Luthor of Star Wars or writing in general. Because although you may not be aware of who Damon Lindelof is, you would be aware of the work that he's done.
Or the things he's destroyed.
Prolific. Well, yeah, precisely. Yeah, he is prolific and terrible. So, Prometheus, I mean, this stream itself, Prometheus writer. I mean, before he took Prometheus and butchered it, it was a fairly coherent storyline. And then he just destroyed it. Lost. He's to do with Lost. Watchmen for HBO. There's multiple things. I mean, I'm sure Tom or Paulie can name some others.
Well, you hit on one point, and that is Lost, right? He's a J.J. Abrams acolyte or whatever you want to call him. He's in that camp. He's one of those people. He worked on Star Trek Into Darkness, for instance.
Yeah,
he's one of those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, so, this guy's not good. And now they've wheeled out this other individual, Justin Britt Gibson,
Right.
as the individual that will be helping write this film, right? Now, Justin Britt
Mhm.
Gibson, I never heard of this individual before, but he seems okay. Seems okay. He's a young
Right.
rising writer who worked as executive story editor on Del Toro's vampire drama The Strain. Not bad. Not great. Not amazing, but not bad. He wrote
Well,
episodes for The Counterpart.
mhm.
And then outside of that, you know, that is, yeah, pretty much it. However, none of this is good news. As I broke the news to Tom, is that there's been a writers. I think I broke this news to you a second ago. My brain's a bit mush at the moment, but there was a writers' room already established
Kind of, yeah.
before these people even jumped on board.
Yeah, we were just discussing it, and you had said you'd done a video about it earlier too, and it was like, okay, you've already got a writer's room full of 5 writers. That's odd for a movie like this, especially when you already have somebody like Britt Gibson, who supposedly
Mm,
has a little pedigree behind him.
yeah.
Wouldn't you want to elevate that instead of, so you're saying already you have no faith in this guy, and or you've seen what he's done already and you aren't happy with it, and you already got other people working on it.
Well, so the thing is, they had a writers' room established, already set up, with Damon Lindelof sort of leading it, and all the other people chiming in to get the story. It's effectively a script treatment laid out. You get that script treatment laid out, vague story, and then you get Damon Lindelof on board. Disney, obviously, Lucasfilm hires him for the main bulk of the script, along with this other guy. But there's no amount of polishing a turd. If that story is shit, it's shit. And the individuals that they had working in that writer's room are not amazing. They're nothing to scream and shout about at all. It was a 2-week session in July, this writer's room. Patrick Somerville, he was involved. I mean, he's only involved because he worked with Lindelof before on The Leftovers. You've got Raina McClendon, a consulting producer on Lucasfilm's Obi-Wan Kenobi. So that's not great for story. And also the writer on Willow. You've got Andy Greenwald, the creator to Rosario Dawson's crime drama Briar Patch, and that's it. There was a random other couple of writers that apparently so low down the running that they're not even worth mentioning their names in this article. So that's not good. It doesn't scream quality. And the thing about
Well,
this,
if
which
I could,
surprises me,
mhm.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, if you can go back to that paragraph of all those people, what they have in common is that they're all easy to control. These are
Yeah,
all
that
they're
Lucasfilm
they're
talent.
all under Lucasfilm, in that J.J. Abrams KK realm.
Mm,
Not Filoni, not Favreau, not Gilroy. If they had announced that they're gonna give Gilroy a film, I would kind of be like, okay, that's interesting.
yeah,
Um,
Tony Gilroy. Yeah, great.
yeah, yeah. I mean, a guy who actually has some creative guts. He might not
Yeah,
like what he's doing, but he's making daring choices. He's got guts, whatever. But
it, it's the best
this,
looking Star Wars we've had in years, years and years
well,
and years and years and years.
yeah. I mean, Mr. H, look at this list.
Yeah, there's
This is a
nothing. There's nothing to
joke.
shout about. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is a joke. Yeah, and the thing is that this is
Mhm.
not going to be. These people have created the story that the other individuals now have to polish. So if that story is a turd, you can't polish a turd. So, and the thing which really, really, really ground my gears is when Damon Lindelof
Mhm.
and Lucasfilm and all that came out and said, well, we need to get that director sorted because she's going to have say on
Oh,
where the story goes. It's like, how many writers do you have on this fucking film? Why does the director come in after the script treatment's been done in the writing phase and she gets to have a say on where the story goes? That's way off base for how script writing is normally done. Would you all
Yeah.
agree, Tom?
Yeah, no, because no, you're right. I mean, yes, sometimes you'll have, oh, we want to make a Star Wars movie, and then you'll bring in, say,
Mhm.
J.J. Abrams, like they did for The Force Awakens. You'll have that kind of a situation where it is kind of a collaboration. Like they kind of have an idea what they want to do, but yet they want J.J. Abrams there to do the J.J. Abrams thing. This sounds like a made by committee, almost worse than a television show, because at least in a television show, you still have the showrunner who's kind of like
Yep.
the de facto director, producer kind of person who's basically where the buck stops, right? And they make all the decisions. Here it sounds like you've got Lindelof, this director, 5 different writers, the other writer that they're boasting about to begin with, and a situation where it feels like to me they already have a predetermined movie in mind. It almost reminds me of the Boba Fett thing all over again. Remember? Because that's what they did to Rodriguez, and Paulie knows what I'm talking about. Because basically Rodriguez did Boba Fett as a favor, hoping that Disney would give him a sequel to what was it, Alita, Battle Angel, the first one. Yeah, that's
like,
what his whole thing was. He did it as a favor. So like when people are ripping on him for the story, it's like, and how it was done, it's like he's basically just work for hire at that point. He really has. I doubt he put very much input into it at all, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm sure he had a few things to say about it, but not to the point where he normally would for a Robert Rodriguez project, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Sure didn't feel like one.
This almost seems, just set up for a television show, and it's not. I mean, if it's a film, it's just a different creative process, and let the director and the writer go off on their own and bring something back, But to announce all this stuff, is it a PR ploy just to make Lindelof and them look good? And it's like
Disney, it's terrible. It doesn't look good, does it?
Especially
to us, but but does it, which would make sense why Disney is telling was it KK to stop announcing Star Wars stuff?
I love that.
Well, Paulie has a point, because in the last week here we've had Michelle Rejwan get basically demoted.
Yes.
You've had Andor barely make it to the Nielsen charts.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you turn around and Lindelof himself, and this is where I think Paulie might have a point. Alan Moore come out and ripped him a new asshole in the fucking press.
Yeah, you are right. Actually, that was literally only a few days ago.
So this all kind of feels like maybe that's what I was.
It's all connected. It's all connected.
Yeah, that was literally only a few days ago.
It's all connected, and
I had not considered that.
Yeah, it's all connected, and going back to this choice for the director. This director is a documentarian director who did a documentary and painted a light of Pakistani culture in a very unpopular way, but popular in the Wakosa world. And her episodes of Miss Marvel had to be majorly redone. I mean, this is not good, guys.
Yeah, it's not good at all. But this is the line that just screams. Well, the whole thing screams bad, but this line especially irked me. That said, sources add it was important to Lucasfilm and Lindelof that a director be brought on so that person's own vision for where they see this story headed gets included in the script.
Well, you might want their opinion on it. Well, coming from somebody like you've actually directed things, Nate, you know damn well, like you are all in 110%. So you have to be very passionate about what you're directing. Don't you think you'd want your director kind of on board for this? Like,
well, you would, but you'd want him on board at a different stage, an earlier stage. Right. Normally it's like, we want to, we've got this spec script, give it to a director. Oh, okay, perfect. Or, got a director on board that wants to direct Star Wars. Cool. He has, a writing crew that he works with, get them to put a script together and pitch it to us, so on and so forth. Not let's just get a writer. This is categorically made by committee. We're going to get a writer's room together. Then we'll get the director on board and she can just pepper in a little bit. Just a little bit of what she wants. Just a little bit. That's what it says to me. That's what it says to me.
Because they clearly don't really want her take early up front. It's not like she went to them and said, I have a great Star Wars idea. Or something like that. Clearly she's a stunt director. or whatever you want to call it. It's basically stunt casting for directing. Same thing with Lindelof with his writing, quote unquote, pedigree, because he's
Yeah.
another one of those that people see it as just because he won an award once or twice, he's got to be great.
And
I also
this
remind
part,
people that. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say this part, you know, sources say the movie project is intended as a standalone,
Yeah.
but in success could lead to more movies. That plan goes against the grain of earlier Lucasfilm development processes, which saw the company try to come up with new trilogies. Now the studio seems focused on standalones. Just make a good movie, you idiots.
I think that's in response to what I was saying earlier about what KK said in that more recent interview, where she said the whole thing with like it takes years to plan these things out because they don't want to go in half-assed anymore, basically.
Yeah. Just absolutely outrageous. But on that note, we have Nick from Echo Base Network.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I actually just got out of a work meeting. Tuesdays, I got a 3:00 work meeting, and so I literally just got wrapped up with that. So I just saw your message.
Good. You can bookend our conversation of Star Wars. Give us your opinion on this, then.
What's up, Nick?
What's going on, Paulie? It's freaking Disney Lucasfilm blunders as usual. It seems like they don't have their shit together over there. It's kind of mind-boggling a little bit. It's like they don't really quite know what they want to do. They're like trying some things out, and then they're kind of backtracking, and then and then with the recent news on Disney basically telling Kathleen Kennedy to stop talking about Star Wars projects. There's been so many that's been announced, and we haven't seen or heard anything else from it. So it's like, is these projects actually going to happen or not? So maybe that's why Disney's telling her to shut up, because they've, canceled so many projects in the past, and this could just be another one.
Yeah. I'm.
Star Wars is in a sad state right now.
Yeah, hugely sad state.
Yeah,
it is a shame. It's a product which could be great, but they've maligned it into just nonsense at this point in time. Very disappointing. Very, very disappointing.
Especially if you run a Star Wars channel.
Yes, which coincidentally, ladies and gents, Echo Base Network, please do check them out. I will have them linked in the description box. They're not right now because I didn't know if you're going to make it, but they will be. I promise. So please do check them out over on YouTube. But let's get to some super chats real quick, and then we actually got to get to some breaking news, which is just broke, which you guys are going to be shocked about, I'm sure. So again, if you want to support the channel, ladies and gents, super chats are a great way to do it. It helps literally keep the lights on. It helps support this show. So please do check that out, as well as checking out in the description box the second channel, where live streams and highlight clips of these really great panels and really interesting conversations get uploaded to. It's in the description box. Mistake reviews, live archives. But over to the super chats first. Kung Fu Hot Dog sent £5. It says, "Hail, gents. To put it into perspective, Microsoft paid $7.5 billion for Bethesda, and Disney paid a paltry $4.5 billion for Star Wars. Video gaming rules." Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think it's the overall IP or the value of an IP. But then also, I guess, Microsoft paid for Bethesda as a profit. How profitable they were as a business as well. Whereas Star Wars at that point in time, I don't think was hugely profitable. So how they valued that business would have been based on that, I'm guessing. So acquisitions tend to work. If anyone else has anything to add to that, I think that's probably about right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Cool. Short and sweet. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, no, I'm reading that. I'm beside myself right now because
I know I know the breaking news. We'll get to it.
Well, I fucking knew it is playing in my head right now.
All right, hold on. I'm going to get you to cover it. We'll get you to cover it. Right. AJM says, "Glad you're doing live shows because now I can ask this again. Would you consider watching and possibly reviewing the show Primal by Jendi Tartakovsky? I know you'd love it." Yeah, loads of people have recommended this, and yes, I absolutely would like to watch it. It's just finding the time. These things take so much time. So
Time
it
man.
is, it is honestly just time management, and I've got so much going on, but I'm getting better.
Mhm.
Obviously, that's why live streams are back now, and then all the work that are involved in this is actually quite extensive, a lot more than you guys would probably believe that happens for these things. But I will get to, I promise, eventually. It's very much inspired by the same ideas that created Conan the Barbarian. Yeah, I mean, it's singing my tune. That's my song. It's my jam. It's my vibe. I want to do stuff like that. I want to watch that for sure. Big Rog sent a Canadian $1.99 super sticker. Thank you so much, dude. And nice to have everyone on board and watching as well today. Night King 01 says this is the same thing with Akiva Goldsman writing the Constantine sequel. Yes, he won an Oscar for A Beautiful Mind, but he also wrote Batman and Robin. Yeah, I can't argue with that at all.
It's like I remind people that David Goyer started out by writing movies for Full Moon, like Demonic Toys, right?
Yeah,
which is
A Beautiful Mind.
movie.
It's kind of like, it's hard, really hard to mess up with that story.
I thought that movie was a little overhyped, to be honest with you. I didn't think it was the big to do that everybody made of it.
Oh, it was good acting performances.
Yeah,
it's
it
a
was,
straightforward biopic.
Actually, it was
that's what I'm saying.
A bunch of horse crap from what I heard, but
it's kind of hard to mess up a biopic story like that.
Yeah. Right. Olaf Van S sent, I think this is €2. Great panel with awesome channels. I also support. Epic.
Olaf.
We know
right.
Olaf.
So thank you everyone for supporting this live stream. Again, it goes a long way. Your super chats go a long way, and it helps steer conversation and things like that. But we do need to, I was kind of rushing through that. I do apologize, but we do need to get to this breaking news. Tom, do you want to chuck the link here so I can share the screen?
Yeah,
I'll get you to cover this.
Do you want? Yeah, I put the link in the private chat. Where do you want it? Do you want me to share?
Oh, I just meant if you share your screen so you can control it.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As I've been
over to you,
reporting,
Tom.
Yeah,
Breaking news.
They've been courting hardcore James Gunn, as I've been hearing, and I guess he finally broke down and took the job.
Wow.
Industry veterans James
huge.
veterans James Gunn and Peter Safran have been appointed to the new roles of co-chairman of chief executive officers of DC Studios. As Script Doctor and I have been saying for a long time, that's what they need. They need a studio overseeing the overall creative direction of the DC universe across film, television, and animation under a single banner. Gunn and Safran will report to David Zaslav, president and chief executive officer of Warner Brothers. Exactly. In their roles.
What a pimp.
Right? In their roles, Gunn and Safran will spearhead the development and execution of a long-term plan for many properties licensed from DC Comics, focused on continuing the tradition of high-quality storytelling for the DC universe across audio-visual media, while building a sustainable growth business out of the iconic franchises. Well, I guess they must have liked his Superman pitch. Because I think that's what got Cavill to sign on anyway. But yeah, it's just a bunch of fluff from there. But man, this is, I didn't expect this announcement until December, and I really wasn't quite sure if Gunn would take the job or not.
I am really surprised that he has. Surprised that he has.
Well, Safran has been producing hits since the 90s.
Yeah, he makes sense. He's worked on The Conjuring.
It's a great balance.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic balance. And Safran is proven hit after hit. And this is exciting.
I heard rumors that Ben Affleck signed on for 3 Batman films also. I wonder if that's
very plausible.
True, and if this has anything to do with that. And also, what does this mean for Guardians of the Galaxy with James Gunn? And
he's done.
Marvel?
He said that. He said after the 3rd one is done, he's done. He's doing the Christmas special, which ironically we just got a trailer for today. Yeah. And then as soon as part 3 is done, and I think he's already done filming all of it and everything like that, as far as I know. So, because I think he shot the Christmas special after he shot the movie, as far as I remember. I could be wrong, but
I don't know what I don't know what to make of this. Do we think this is really good news or not? James Gunn can be really hit or miss. you know, I hear very, very good things about Peacemaker, but I wasn't a huge fan of the Suicide Squad. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't a huge fan of it. It was fine.
Yeah, same here.
But, you know, is Peacemaker, you know, a good enough sign of things to come? Like, what do you guys think? Do
I
we think this is
guess it
really
was a
good news or
big
not?
I guess it was a big deal for HBO Max. It did really well for them, from my understanding. Again,
Mm,
I understand where you're coming from, Mr. H. Like a part of me is a bit like, let's wait and see, because I loved the new Suicide Squad, but I understand you didn't, and I know, and I can see why a lot of people don't, because
mm,
James Gunn is one of those guys where he makes oddball movies. Not a lot of his films are like Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm sure you've seen Super, and you know what I'm talking about,
yeah.
where, you know, it's not, I could see somebody like saying, oh, that movie was just dark as fuck, and another
Mm,
person going, it was hilarious, right? It just all depends on your sense of humor and who you are, and James Gunn is one of those kind of guys. I think he's got an interesting take on things, and I'm curious to see where he goes with this. And Peter Safran, he's got a bit of a pedigree too, like Paulie was pointing out. So, and they've worked together in the past.
mm.
Let me add to Tom. Peter Safran, executive produced Blue Beetle, Shazam's, all the Conjuring.
All the Conjuring stuff. And that's the thing. People overlook when we talk about IP and franchise, people
Yes,
always overlook the Conjuring. They have what, 8,
Yeah, they
9, 10
do.
films already now in the
over the
Yeah.
past
fucking
10 years is the most
yeah.
successful
Yeah.
It's
franchise.
one of the most
Mhm.
successful franchises right next to Marvel, and people just forget it that it's a
Yeah.
franchise. Yeah.
Well, it's also because they can make them on the cheap, and they take in loads. Like it's horror. Horror can be made cheap
Right.
and can be taken. And you know, if it does well, you make incredible sums in profit.
Yep.
I think one of the more positive things about this is that they are, you know, this is DC Studios. They are the heads of DC Studios. So whatever you think, I guess, of James Gunn and you know, creatively speaking, it's not necessarily that he will be on board on a creative level day to day directing, right? So you know, I guess that takes my sort of wariness from the situation with James Gunn, because again, you know, he's quite hit or miss with, you know, with you either like his movies or you hate them, you know, dependent on each one and how the tone is. So I think that's pretty good, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, I was
I don't
actually
think
just
that's
thinking that same thing about with him taking this position. Where's that leave him creatively speaking on the movies moving forward? Is he going to have any kind of creative control over these, or is he just going to put people in place that's going to be the creatives, and then he's going to either green light it or
they're
not? You
CEOs,
know?
aren't they? CEOs and CFOs, was it? What was it? Tom?
Co-chairman and CEOs.
Yep.
Co-chairman.
Mm.
Yeah.
Co-chairman and
Yeah.
CEOs. Yep.
So
So
yeah, I mean,
basically, yeah, they'll be deciding which movies will be happening, who's directing them, which direction the stories will be going in. But like you said, they'll be picking other direction, and that goes along with what I was kind of being insinuated to me, was that they were figuring that, because at first I had heard that they were bringing James in to pitch a Superman idea, and he had come in and pitched something else instead. And the discussion I'd had with this individual, we both kind of came to the same place of, chances are he'll produce a Superman movie, maybe co-write it, but he won't want to direct it. See, that's what this goes in line with, right? That is what
yeah,
he's
massively.
basically doing, but on a massive level, right? Okay, fine. He's going to decide going forward, this is the person who's going to do Superman. So I'm sorry to say this, kids. This is what I was telling you about the whole Snyderverse thing.
Mhm.
Chances are he's
Mm.
done. He is
Let
done.
me
He's
let,
gone. He's off doing
yeah.
his own thing. So yeah.
Let me talk about Saffron for a minute as well, which I think in the long run, with the cachet he's built up with talent in front of him behind the camera, it's undeniable. You know, from handling huge stars as a manager in the '90s, J Lo, Brad Pitt, running that to, you know, to elevating himself. And yeah, he's kind of produced some clunkers, but you can see his gradual progression over like the last 25 years. It's pretty incredible, and he's got a really good reputation. So
Mm.
this is, you know,
I think
beside
this
the
is good news
Conjuring
for
universe,
DC.
great news for them. And
Yeah,
he knows how to
just
deal
simply
with
having, you know, having a studio. Sorry to cut you off. Literally, just having studios is good. Just having DC Studios, people in charge, report to, just that structure, that streamlined structure. I think is the biggest
yeah.
positive there.
I think it's you know, It's definitely a huge breath of fresh air. It's exciting. Saffron, and it just is like, again, it's professional pedigree. It's let's see what they can produce, man. Now it's like it's on.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
and
Well, let's
yeah.
bring another guest on today, ladies and gents. We are
Ooh,
spoiled
all-star
here.
day.
You are spoiled here in the chat, in the audience watching this as well. But we've got Valiant Renegade. What's your opinion on this, good sir? Because this news literally just broke.
I'm assuming, and I just flipped on. I'm guessing we're talking about the whole Zaslav thing and the new streamline of
DC,
everything. Yeah.
James Gunn,
James Gunn news. Holy
Saffron.
crap.
No,
Did
I
you
have
hear
not.
that,
Like,
Valiant?
no, I just finished an appointment with some clients before I jumped on. I told Nate earlier, I said I'll probably be
Wow.
coming in. I won't have too much time. So, no, I have not seen this. So, the James Gunn thing is official now. I'd heard some talk.
Well, yeah, as I've been saying, they've been, as my guy said, they wine dined and 69'd him, and they are hoping he's going to take the job. And it looks like he did, along with Peter Safran.
Well,
So
that's
Peter
amazing.
Safran and James Gunn are co-chairman CEOs of DC Studios, and I guess the streamlined structure now.
Well, look, that's good news. I mean, I guess to be fair, that'll be good news. Time will tell. But I mean, I guess you can't get much worse than Walter Hamada at this point, considering all of the opportunities squandered there in the last few years. So,
massively so.
Good Lord. But yeah, I know y'all. I heard y'all talking about Peacemakers. I jumped in, so I guess that's why. But yeah, I mean, that was a great show. Now, can Gunn really make a serious saga? You know, I know we don't want everything to be silly joke stuff. We also don't want everything to be just gloomy and dark. It's got to be kind of somewhere with a happy middle ground here.
Well, the thing is, he doesn't have to. He's just effectively he's just approving directors. He's approving stories. He's not actually writing them. He's not actually directing them. So on that basis, that's quite good. To be fair, isn't it? If you're looking at
I think you're right. I'm assuming he's going to have a role that's going to be very similar, if not completely parallel to what you'd think of a Kevin Feige having, where he's kind of the overall architect of things. I mean, I'm sure he's going to want to hire writers and directors that are going to fit whatever stylistic vision he has going forward for this 10-year plan that Zaslav alluded to during the last earnings call, which, by the way, I guess I'm not surprised by this timing, because my plan is, as of now, and I wish they hadn't moved the schedule. Last couple times, Warner Brothers had their earnings call in the afternoon. This next one is going to be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time next week. I think it's on the 3rd. So I'm going to try to cover that live because the last one was very interesting. I think this one will be at least equally as interesting. There's going to be a lot more for Zaz to talk about here than even last time, and especially with, again, last one was, hey, we have a 10-year plan. We're putting it together. Of course, he didn't say anything about Walter Hamada 3 months ago, which wasn't a surprise, but I think everybody kind of knew he was on his way out. Now he's out. Now they got a replacement. So I'm interested to see if not even during the earnings call itself, but during the question and answer session, just like last time, one of the analysts from one of the big banks is almost assuredly going to bring up, okay, new guy in the house. What's the plan with DC? It'll be interesting to hear the response.
Yeah. Who thought this news was going to drop? Honestly, shocking.
Wow. I didn't see it coming.
I don't think anyone did. Well, I know Tom
did.
Oh yeah,
but I didn't see it. I didn't see the announcement before December. To be honest with you guys, like I really didn't expect us to get like. Of course, they're building off this momentum, right? It's like they're duking it out right now with Marvel. Look at what's happening. Marvel dropped the Ant-Man trailer yesterday. What happened? DC steamrolled them with the Henry Cavill news, right?
Yeah.
So then what happens today? They dropped the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas trailer, and that's probably to try and help boost their status after the Henry Cavill thing. And what does Warner do? All right, well, we just stole your boy.
Right.
Yep.
Wow. Right.
In the state of Marvel right now, like this is huge for DC. They could end up flipping it and kind of be the leader in the comic book movie and entertainment world with this move right here going forward.
Yeah, well, I
Well,
tell you what, that's the
think about
perfect
this.
segue. That is the perfect segue, all of us, onto this. You know, you're talking about DC leading the charge now. I mean, Henry Cavill coming back, locked in, confirmed. I am Superman. This is a taste of what's to come. You will be rewarded. I promise this. They've come out big balls swinging this week.
Yeah, not
Big
mincing words, is
balls
he?
swinging.
Yeah.
I didn't think
Yeah.
we were ever going
all
to
of
get
it.
this.
This dropped yesterday. Big ball, big dick swinging, you know, DC walk in with this. You've got today, they report that James Gunn and Peter Safran are on board, DC Studios CEO, co-chairman. I mean, this is, I would be very surprised if Marvel is not concerned right now.
Yeah.
Because this is quite large in terms of market play, you know, of the comic book movie market. This is huge stuff.
Yeah, and the fact that Cavill says that he's here to promise, you know, he's excited for what's to come and promises more to come, tells me exactly what I had been hearing, and that was that Cavill
Very
wanted a plan.
small taste.
Exactly.
Very small taste of what's to come. And yeah, we
Yeah.
bounced off this saying it was.
Yeah, we
you know,
talked about this
basically
the
a
last time
few
we were
more.
on here.
Yeah,
That he
If I
wanted
could
a
say
plan.
something.
Sorry. Anyway,
of course you can.
So I think what everyone here in this panel has been prophesizing the last few months, documenting VR in regards to Zaslav's big plan. This is it this is in action. Tentpole, Cavill, Superman, Affleck, Batman, and then okay, let's see, Momoa, Aquaman, and then the Rock is now let's see what can stay, right? VR, Batgirl out. Any of the smaller announcements out. They saw Blue Beetle. They saw maybe a rough cut. I heard there was a private screening, and if they're keeping it on, there's something that they like. Someone saying in the chat, what's up with Blue Beetle? Why is that a priority? One, it must be good, and two, you have a hot young actor as the lead. So they're cut. Listen, man, these guys are really streamlining their entertainment for us.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my thoughts.
There's no accident here that, I mean, this news was dropped a week before the earnings call. This is definitely going to get a lot of people excited. This is going to get a lot of the investors excited. I think it's also interesting right now. I made this comment the other day, on my live stream on Sunday. Tom was there and Pro was there. And, we've been covering a lot of stuff from the toy industry, specifically related to Disney. Some of the toy industry that does business with Disney obviously have been concerned with the direction that Disney is going, at least so far as their two largest non-Disney IPs like Star Wars and Marvel, these acquired IPs. They've seen sales drop off. They've seen licensing revenues back to Disney dropping off in tandem with it. You look at DC right now, and one of the comments I made, one of the recent comments was there was concern about them not recasting T'Challa, Chadwick Boseman, after passing. And that was because the toy manufacturers and retailers had found that there was a new market that they had not had that big before. And that was fathers and sons, African-American fathers and sons that bought Black Panther action figures and merchandise before. They had never had anything quite like that without recasting him with no strong male lead. And we posited Sunday, if Warner Brothers is smart, they will parlay this Black Adam thing and move into that space as hard as possible, because it is the rival toy manufacturer to the one who makes the Disney toys that makes the DC toys for Warner Brothers. Hasbro makes toys for Disney and Mattel makes toys for DC. So they have an opportunity here to take advantage of this, frankly, I think, misstep on the part of Marvel by not. I understand that they wanted to be respectful, and okay, he passed away, incredibly charismatic and talented actor. I get it. But from the business side of things, bad move. But that being said, it'll be interesting going forward. And I'm sure Mattel is tickled pink at this point. They're very excited because look, a lot of these merchandise manufacturers that these big studios contract with, and that they pay hundreds of millions, billions of dollars over the course of years to these companies like Disney and Warner Brothers to be able to use their products to make merchandise from, to use their intellectual property. They they can have a larger influence than most people might realize on the direction of things in these studios. Like, I think bringing back Grogu in Book of Boba Fett randomly with Mando, there was probably some influence there from the toy manufacturers, because they had not had a hot selling Star Wars thing in a year and a half because of, we haven't had a Mando episode with Grogu since late 2020. And that was the lone big seller. And all of a sudden they bring Grogu back and they put him back with Mando again. I think part of that could have been, somebody like a Hasbro or somebody saying, hey, look, we paid a lot of money for this. We need to be able to sell this stuff. We need Grogu back in something like now. We can't wait till 2023 to see him again.
Well,
so I think
we're seeing McFarlane take over some of the toy side of things too, it looks like.
Yeah, Todd McFarlane.
Yeah, because the rumor that's been for a while is that they might take on the IPs of the comic side of things.
Yeah,
I was listening to Sunday VR, and this is almost a separate stream, a separate conversation, because I have some questions to poke some holes in this big risk of Black Panther 2. But I know we got so many other articles, but I know what you're saying in as far as the action figures. From what I'm seeing is a big push on the Namor action figure, but maybe we can, talk
I'm
about
sure
some
they
more.
are. I think that'd be great. They need to. The thing is, and again, I'm not saying that would definitely come to fruition, good or bad. I'm just saying, I think that's what some of the concern was inside the manufacturing and retailing industry on the toy side, was that what would happen to all of these sales that they had with Black Panther from the first movie? Would they still be there without him in his own second movie?
They're not. And
Yeah,
we mean
I
they're
would
not
guess
in the
not also.
African American community. So, again, Mike, and Mr. H, we probably, I'll table this for something else, because I have so many questions about that with VR.
Yeah, I mean, let's get us some super chats, and then we'll continue the sort of DC big balls move into the market. So Wolverine dropped in with $10 and says DC Studios looks to be screwed right out of the gate. Looking for more garbage like the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. Hope I'm wrong. I don't see any good in this. So I'll counter. Well, thank you so much for the $10, my dude, and anyone who's contributing to the show. It really does go a long way to helping keep the lights on. So thank you so much. But one of the things, so that was something which I said. I said, hey, look, I didn't like the Suicide Squad. I haven't watched Peacemaker. I can't comment on it, but I didn't like the Suicide Squad. So is this good news? He's not writing this stuff. He's not making it. He's a CEO, co-chairman. He's just approving stuff. And when he's a producer, he's generally better. So I don't see this as actually a bad thing from that perspective. And the structure that they're going for now, with it being streamlined, I think is very positive. If anyone else has anything to say to that.
Well, no, I agree. Go ahead, Nick.
I was just gonna say. Plus, I mean, with that announcement, the Henry Cavill, the rumors of Ben Affleck coming back, it looks like they're trying to right the ship back in the direction that fans are kind of wanting him to do. So, and just like Mr. H said, he's gonna kind of be in more of like a management role of the whole entire franchise moving forward, more so than a creative role, doing stuff like Peacemaker, Suicide Squad. There's going to be other creatives that are going to come up with the stories that he'll be a part of in Greenlight and all that sort of stuff. So I think this is huge for DC, like super huge.
View them both. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, quickly to bounce off that, Mr. H, with what Nick said, that Saffron Gunn relationship, you know, they didn't just put these two strangers in a room all and say, "Hey, you guys are going to work together." These guys have been.
Mm.
They must see something there. There must be a synergy that's been there for years to take on something like this. I mean, again, I think this is fantastic. I think this is exciting, and
Yeah.
it'll probably be even easier for Gunn because, like with Nick, I mean, these Gunn's not going to be on this, you know, like on the set of all these things he's producing. He's probably going to be in the major creative development with these other filmmakers.
Plus,
So,
you know, Gunn secretly probably wants to really, you know, stick it to Marvel.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
mean,
what I
you
feel like this
can.
announcement is like. That's why I said it comes
Mm.
right on the heels of the trailer for Guardians. Sorry,
Yeah.
Nate, but yeah.
Yeah, no, you bang on. I think the better way to view this situation, Peter Safran and James Gunn are like Kevin Feige's for DC. That's how you look
Yeah.
at it. They're not necessarily,
I was waiting
and
for you to say that.
even that's not technically right, but that's the closest thing you can get to it, right? They are green lighting projects for DC. They're not
Hopefully,
actively involved.
you're getting the best of
need to
both
put-
worlds. I hope is what it is.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not like you had Favreau and Feige, you know, back in the early days with Marvel. But what you need in this position, anytime you're going to put a studio head in, especially if they're going to be overseeing the creation of a giant universe like this, not only do you have to have people that understand the subject matter and that are going to try to do the best they can with it, but they also have to be people that can create this universe and that the directors and the writers they hire will respect them. So you've got to get people who have been around. You've got to get people who have accomplished some things like James Gunn has with the popularity of Guardians to be able to be in that position to where he can go out and get the people that he really wants to come in and make the movies that he wants to make, and that they will do what needs to be done. You know, it's and that's the big thing. You can hire a financial person to be a pencil pusher and do the numbers and all this, but as far as a studio head goes, and it makes sense because I think Zaslav, even in that same earnings call, he alluded to the fact that they were putting together a team to build that 10-year plan. So I can almost guarantee you 3 months ago, the conversation with Gunn and Safran were already going on.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I've been hearing is that they've been whining. Like I said, literally, that was the quote I heard from my guy. They wine dined and 69'd him. Now they just hope to God he takes the job because he was their choice. They turned down a lot of other people, and they also interviewed just about anybody you could think of in Hollywood, including Kevin Feige. And rumor was he was considering it. And where he's sitting at Disney right now, I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they called Favreau too.
Yeah.
I hope to be honest with you, and this is my dream hope, is that Favreau actually comes on and directs Superman. I really do. I hope that he's one of the top choices, if not. You've got to get somebody like a Favreau or a Joe Johnston or somebody like that who can handle Superman. Because that's kind of what I heard anyways. Again, not to break the Snyder fans' hearts, but the new Superman movie was supposed to be basically, from what I heard, much lighter in tone. It's not going to be like a direct sequel. It'll be more or less like that's kind of the loose canon, but we're just going to go forward with the Superman story. I don't even know if they're going to bring back most of the same cast outside of Cap.
Well, just real quick then.
Going to be called Superman.
I guess on the back end of that is this question here for $5. Jeremiah says, do you guys think that they gave James Gunn what he wanted? As in, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. I mean, Superman, what do you think, Tom?
I don't think he's going to direct it. No, I think it was more of like, it sounded like, because again, he could have sat there all day long and kept doing these like weird side projects and they would have let him do it. But they really, really, really wanted him to do this. But the rumor, not even coming from me, but from all over, was that he just wasn't interested, right? He just wanted to do his thing. But I guess this is also, him being in this position will put him in a place where he can do his projects on the side and also oversee other things at the same time. And now that he's done with Disney, and he flat out said that, I'm done with Disney.
Yeah.
I mean, and what is really going to stick it to Disney is if he is successful in this, right? If he comes in and the next, let's say, because we know once Joker 2 hits, that's the bridge. Past there is when we're seeing all the new stuff going forward. And then from there, we'll be able to kind of equate. Is James Gunn and Safran doing a good job? Well, we'll know within the next couple of years. And at that point, Disney will look at that and go, fuck, we screwed up because we had this guy who was going to co-run Marvel with Feige, and we screwed that whole damn thing up.
He was supposed to be in charge of phase 4 and 5.
Of the cosmic side of things, yes. Because that's what the whole thing, they were going to split off into 2 universes, basically. I mean, they were all going to still be in the same universe, but they were going to have 2 different sides of the story. Feige was going to handle the Earth side of things, and then Gunn was supposed to handle the cosmic side.
Right, let's just get through a few more super chats. I'll sort of shuffle on here a little bit there, guys. Kate's hi for £5 says, hi all, just got back from Black Adam. Late, but couldn't miss this. Much love to you all. Super Nate, Paulie, Tom, and other guests. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed Black Adam there.
Thanks a lot.
Zombie Box Reviews for £5 says, hey, Mr. H, it's Andy, your mod. I don't use my other account anymore. So if you still want me as your mod, this is the account I'll be using from now on. I will make you a mod as well then, Andy, my dude.
Looks like he's doing his own channel there.
Yeah. Zombie Box Reviews, please do check them out. And again, for another one, he says, I'm glad they're doing away with the old regime and are finally listening to what the audience wants. Completely agreed. Tom Working for $10 says, Warner DC, the potential of going Black Label. Joker showed it can work. What do you think? Guys, what do you
think they will embrace it. And James Gunn's the kind of guy where if you want to do both, he's your man. Right? Like, he can handle R-rated stuff and PG-13 interchangeably. So I think, and I'm sure they're going to embrace that a little bit. Maybe not so much with the mainstream films, but they're going to embrace it with some of the smaller characters, I bet.
Well, I was going to say, exactly. We've already got a roadmap. We know that works. I mean, we had Deadpool. We've already had the other entries in Warner Brothers with the R-rated kind of stuff that people enjoyed, and with Joker.
Can you imagine an R-rated Lobo movie with James Gunn behind it?
That's what I'm saying. You can make it work, exactly as you said, though, as long as you keep it away. You can't do it with Superman. You can't do it with Wonder Woman. You can't do it with Batman, but you can do it with those other characters where it fits.
I'd like to see an R-rated Killing Joke.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
How about with which Joker?
Honestly, I bet you that'd be, if they do a third Joker movie, I wouldn't be surprised if they go the Killing Joke route with it.
I'd pay.
Like,
to go
where
see
else
it.
do you go with it, right?
Yeah,
that's the only way you can really tell that story, is with that kind of a Joker and that kind of a world, and because you can't do that in a mainstream Batman movie. You would have so many, like, if you think parents were pissed off about the Penguin, can you imagine how they would react to a Joker beating the hell out of a naked, what's her face? Geez, I just forgot her name. Barbara Gordon, thank you.
Yeah.
Until she can't, until she's barely living. Like, yeah, that's not going to fly on screen.
Yeah. The Mega Wing Zero for $5 says DC should make an icon movie to counter the Black Panther. I love the character and think he would be perfect. Just base him on his 90s comic run. Great. I've never heard of this guy.
I know of him more now than I ever have before because of people bringing him up recently, but yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Well, like I said, perfect segue off. This is huge news. DC, announcing Peter Safran, James Gunn. People thinking it's good or bad. That's all by the by. We've sort of given our points on that, but this all comes at really key points in time. And the news of Peter Safran and James Gunn, leading DC Studios, literally comes after we had this from Henry Cavill, which also came after we heard that Toby Emmerich labeled Henry Cavill persona non grata, not welcome. Not a dude, not welcome here anymore, basically. But this is all pretty key, staged by DC. Very well done, very smart. Just to give my own personal opinion on Henry Cavill as Superman, I think he's one of the best Supermen we've ever had. Whether it's been accurately portrayed or not, he looks the part, and there's, each of the movies that we've seen, there has been sort of a peek through of the Superman that I think most of us want on screen, whether it was 100% there or not. There's always been a peak of it. So I'm really happy he's back. And this kind of validates what me and Tom had been saying in a previous stream. More stuff to come. You know, he literally says, this is a very small taste of what's to come. The dawn of hope renewed. Thank you for your patience. It will be rewarded. So what do you guys think about this? What do you think about Henry Cavill as Superman being back and the future? Take it away, Tom.
Well, I think it's sad that it took almost 10 years and less than 30 seconds for Henry Cavill to finally bring some hope to Superman, but he did it. It's not his fault, of course. And going forward, hopefully we get a more hopeful, tone accurate Superman, at least. Yeah, I'm kind of just because I did not like Man of Steel. I hated BVS. Not a fan of either version of the Justice League, to be 100% honest with you. But I would like to just see a decent Superman movie where he's Superman saving people and doing what Superman does. And there's a ton of villains we haven't got to see on screen yet either, like Metallo and Brainiac and tons of other ones, including a more accurate Lex Luthor, for that matter, in this universe. So yeah, I think there's potential. There's a lot of potential with Superman that hasn't been tapped, unlike Batman, who's kind of been overused a bit. But
yeah, I mean, what do you think about the persona non grata by Toby Emmerich? Basically, the quote is Henry Cavill is now persona non grata. He's not going to play ball with the studio. He will never be Superman again.
No, that's pretty much all I kept hearing from people, and that's why I kind of had a feeling it was going to take Hamada to being out of the building, and it sounds like Henry didn't sign on until Friday, which kind of goes in line with what I'd been hearing. Like I was saying earlier, he wanted to hear pitches. He wanted to know what the plan was, where the direction was before he even signed on now, because he was sick of fucking around. Those guys, including Hamada, Sarnoff, Toby Emmerich, they were behind the media reports painting him as difficult to work with.
Yeah, just as a reminder, where are those guys now? Oh, wait, they're fired.
Exactly.
Yeah, in the bin.
They're in the unemployment line.
They're not in these headlines. Henry Cavill is beloved by men and women. Men want to be him, women want to date him, that whole thing.
Some men want to date him too.
And yeah, not to hate on that, but that as well. But you know, he's just got so many great qualities going on with him as a dude. You know, doing. Oh,
I was just gonna say, I think I think the thing about Henry Cavill is he's a quintessential old school movie star. He has charisma, and it's on screen. It's palpable. It's tangible. It's there.
100%.
Well, it takes something to play
100%.
Superman, right? And he has that thing that only comes along once in a generation, it seems like. Christopher Reeve, for instance. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Paul.
I was going to add to, just because in this social media age too, it's like we know all the cool nerdy stuff he's into, and people love that. Also too, he's belted in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He makes computers. He knows his the stuff that he's talking about. He knows his games and his comic books as far as being a fan of that. So it's good stuff.
Valiant.
No, I agree with everything that's been said. I mean, I think Cavill has done a fantastic job in that role, and for all the reasons that have been stated. He looks the character. He's got the charisma when he walks on screen in that suit. It's like there's not a second of doubt. This guy is Superman. It's just he owns that role. I think he was born for it. I was joking with somebody, buddy of mine in the office. We went to lunch today. We were actually talking about this stuff. With all the new plan and the Superman and Cavill and all this kind of stuff. And I said, it was funny. The first time I didn't really watch Man of Steel in the theaters, and I saw it. I saw like, I know this guy, this Henry Cavill guy. Where have I seen him before? Man, he really fits this role. It wasn't until like months later, I just didn't think to look it up. And I'm rewatching. I'm rewatching an old movie with, I say old. It's about, I guess, maybe 25 years old now. But it's The Count of Monte Cristo with Jim Caviezel, Guy Pearce. It's just a fun adaptation of Dumas's work, and a very young Henry Cavill plays the son plays the son of the Count Monte Cristo, and he must have been probably oh god, he couldn't have been 16, 17, 18 years
It
old
was
at
one of
that
his
point.
first films, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it
but
was. And I just remember, I mean, he was one of the really good performances in that film. There were quite a few, including Richard Harris and
He was in a
and a lot
Hellraiser
of-
movie as well, wasn't he? If I remember rightly.
Was
yeah,
he?
that was
See,
another
I
one
don't
of his
even
earlier
Hellraiser
ones.
movie.
Yeah, it was he's 6 or 7, one of them. I can't remember which.
Oh my god.
And I was a fan
Yeah,
of
but
his in
it's
the
like
Tudors. So when he got
he's-
this, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's the guy from the Tudors." You
That's
know,
the
like,
thing, is he's been doing this shit for a while,
Mhm.
right? He earned his
Paid his
place.
dues.
yeah.
yeah, the Tudors. Natalie
What about
Dormer.
Nick? What did you
That's all I
think?
gotta say.
I didn't hate Man of Steel probably as much as Tom did, but I loved Henry Cavill as Superman, and I was super disappointed when they started jacking around with things and didn't really have a plan together, and it looked like Henry Cavill was going to be out, and they looked like they were moving towards like a whole reboot and all that. But I always loved him as Superman. I thought he played the character well, even though I also did have issues with Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman. But as far as him as an actor portraying Superman, I was 100% on board from the get-go. So, like I said earlier, this is huge news. I'm glad that he signed on. I'm glad they're getting their shit together. I'm glad he's coming back. Now I just want to wait and see, are they going to get the right people involved moving forward to give us that Superman movie that everybody wants? Because Man of Steel, let's be honest, it did get mixed reviews. A lot of people, really loved it, but a lot of people really hated it. So I think if creatively speaking, if they get the right people involved and do the second movie justice, I think the sky's the limit for this DC universe that they're moving towards now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just this quote annoys me so much. It just amazes me, the audacity of Toby. Henry Cavill is now persona non grata. He's not going to play ball with the studio. He will never be Superman again. It's like, yeah, okay. Well, how's it working out for you swapping everyone out for a woman, huh? Swapping out bloody, getting Sasha Cal as Supergirl and things like that. How's that working out? How's it working out with the Flash? How's that all going?
and-
Not particularly great.
And really quick on Sasha Calle, it's like they made her look ugly. Let's be honest.
Yeah, why
Good-looking woman.
stop making women look like
Stop.
like bloody
stop it.
feminists? Like, come on, women want to look at beautiful women, and men want to look at beautiful women. All right, just stop cutting their fucking hair. People are sick of it.
Well, they should have just gone ahead and
ridiculous.
spray painted it blue and been done with it.
Yeah, might as
Yeah,
well.
pretty
Yeah,
much.
and then they just had SK Super Karen on it or something like that. Goodness sake. Anyway, so I know, Valiant, you've got to dip out un momento. So let's just get through some quick super chats. And
Yeah,
then if
go for
you want to shoot off, we'll sort of say our farewells before we move on to the next part. Fictitious Dave sent £5. Says, Mr. H, I've crafted my first feature script. Would you honor me by critiquing it and giving me feedback? Depends how long it is, actually. Again, it's all about time. So probably, yeah, maybe. Send it to me and I'll see. No promises. Genuinely no promises. I cannot promise
love that
'cause
answer.
It's all about time. But you guys know as much as Tom will know as well as
There's not
most of
enough
us.
hours in the day or days in the week. It's
just
insane.
time. Yeah. Semper Barter, great name, became a channel member. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Do appreciate it. Thank you. And Samonusk, I butchered that, sorry. Sent $4.99. Says something needs to be done with Darkseid or Darkseid. You can't just ignore it. This is greatest battle in the DC universe, and it's been set up perfectly in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Yeah, I mean, there's who knows what they'll do, whether they'll sort of circumnavigate it, so they'll address it, but in a different format. They might do that. But any opinions on that? I mean, this is still very clearly Zack Snyder's DC in terms of what he's established, but they're just reinterpreting it moving forwards.
Yeah, it's a reset. So it's kind of, that's the thing. We've still been in the Snyderverse this whole time, even though you can kind of consider the Hamadaverse split off during Justice League, or however you want to call it or put it, but it still was technically in the same timeline. But yeah, I'm not saying that they won't. I'm sure they will kind of revisit certain things. That was kind of Zach's fault, from what I understood. He knew that there was little to no chance of him being able to do anything more with this. So why he left it that open-ended is beyond me. And that's the funny part, is that's most of the shit that he shot, which is weird that they even let him do that, especially considering like people that were in charge at the time still like Sarnoff and flat out said this is a dead end, which meant they weren't going to give him any more to do. And unfortunately, if the Batman had failed at the box office, maybe Zack Snyder would be there instead of James Gunn, for those who are fans of it, but that wasn't exactly the case. And again, I think this has a lot less to do with anything with like him, you know, because I know the Suicide Squad wasn't a huge success for them or anything, but I think it just has more to do with Warner knowing that he is a hot commodity in Hollywood right now. He's not friendly with Disney right now, and they are hurting for talent. They lost some of their big hitters like Nolan and stuff like that in the slaughter of Kalar going through and doing what he did. So yeah, from what I've heard time and time again, they're trying to keep as many heavy hitters as they can, and this is one of the few things that they could do at this point to probably keep James Gunn in house and make sure he's going to be working for them for the next 10 years, basically.
Anyone else?
For better or worse, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, look, I know there's some Snyder fans, but we have to remember that's what got us to this place in the first place. Was the reaction to those first two films. Specifically, that's what started this whole ball rolling with the mess that got us here. So again,
Yeah. Well,
would we have been better off if they had let
Brothers-
Snyder finish? But maybe. But go ahead, Valiant. Sorry.
No. I was just gonna say it was that and Warner Brothers' desperation to quote unquote catch up to Marvel. And they tried to rush right into the big Avengers movies for DC. With Batman versus Superman, and then into Justice League, and it was just they weren't ready for it. So I think at this point it kind of seems like hopefully they'll be a little bit more patient. They know they need to build things up. They need to do it the right way. Develop the interest over a few years, and then you hit one. You hit the big ensemble movie out of the park. But look, give James Gunn some running room. The problem is there's not too many people out there in Hollywood that are frankly capable of putting this kind of stuff together. It's a pretty short list. I mean, at least if you want somebody that's reasonably competent, or that you can assume is reasonably competent. But Jason Kalar, there's another name Tom just brought up he was the first one fired out the door when Zaslav came in. He was gone like on day 2. Just because of the mess that he made with all the day and date releases through 2021 with HBO Max and theaters. Yeah. I mean, it cost them hundreds of millions of dollars extra. So, I mean, it's going to be slow to get things started back up again. But I think in the long run, this will be the best thing for Warner Brothers. They can wipe the slate clean. They can make it like they want to make it. And they don't have to feel like they're going to be pigeonholed into, well, we did this 2 years ago, so we have to follow this. No, not really. You bring back the important parts, right? You bring back all of the stuff about the Snyder era that was positive for fans. Henry Cavill was positive as the role of Superman. I think Gal Gadot was a positive for Wonder Woman. I think you start with those two. Everybody seemed to universally praise the performances by those actors in those roles. There's no reason to change that. And then you fix everything else around them. Can Ben Affleck still do Batman long term? Probably not. I mean, he's 50 now. And I don't know if Pattinson can pull it off for the long term. I think they need to find somebody. They need to find their Henry Cavill for Batman.
Yeah, so that's a fair, justified point. I do think that they will. I think there's the potential that they'll address the dark side situation, but yeah, I mean, it's a case of they can just navigate around it as and when they want. Like it's not something they have to full on address or continue. You can navigate around it. There's ways to do it. and they're still very much in spanning off from what Zack Snyder created. Like that was never completely thrown in the bin. Otherwise, we wouldn't have Henry Cavill. Like, you know, it just hasn't been put in the bin yet. Like you've still got all the characters that were there. So, yeah. But I think that wraps it up for you, doesn't it, Valiant? I don't want to take you.
Yeah,
any
I do
longer.
have to get running here in the next couple minutes. I've got some clients coming in, but wish I could stay
Plug
longer. I
away.
appreciate you having me on.
Plug some stuff. Go.
Well, thanks for having me on, Mr. H. Good to see you, Tom and Nick and Paulie. And make sure you sub to all these fine people. You can find me over on YouTube as well at Valiant Renegade, Valiant with 2 L's, and cover a lot of the Hollywood business and entertainment news, box office news, stuff like that. And do the Sunday live streams, have a few videos every week. WDW Pro from that Park Place has become a bit of a regular there on Sundays, which is just fine and dandy. Everybody seems to love that. And any case, thanks for having me on. And you gentlemen have a great rest of the show. I'll be listening in the background until my next appointment gets here. So best wishes to everybody.
See you, Valiant.
Welcome anytime. Right, let's so we've got 2 more topics, ladies and gents, and we'll just get through a few more super chats before we kind of move on to that. Kate says Paulie and I are plotting something. Paulie, what the fuck going on?
Yes, there's been a request from Katie that she would rather have you dress up in the Superman outfit. So that
I mean, just blank. I'm not going to dress up. Just blank expression. We'll move over that.
you have a fan.
Dave says it's 104 pages. It's in a PDF file. Where to send? Email address is in the description box, dude. Deleted Scene says great news out of DC today. A forward momentum we haven't seen out of a Hollywood studio in ages. We're going to have fun following the progress. You know what? You're right. This kind of, these kind of announcements subsequently following one another. This feels, it is quite momentous. There is a lot of momentum here. It's very, big steps ahead, big steps forward for a studio, and nothing. We're just all, it's really quite surprising, to be honest. I think it took me by surprise. Didn't take Tom by surprise, obviously. But anyone else, anything to add to that?
A little bit, yeah.
Just great to see Deleted Scene Stephen Otten in the chat. Thanks for the super chat.
Well,
this is gonna make great content for YouTube content creators moving forward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Zombie Box Reviews sent a £1.49 super sticker. Thank you so much. Teak says, what a bad Superman comic that you want to see revamped for a movie. I don't know enough about Superman comics to answer that, to be fair, Tom.
Sounds
like you got one.
Maybe the Death of Superman could have been a bit better because it's a lot.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, of course, at the time, I don't think they really knew what it was because they didn't plan on it being the big thing that it ended up being. But I think if they would have known, they probably would have put a little bit more into it.
You remember how huge that was, Tom, when that comic came out? I mean, anybody that was in comics back then, like that was the thing. Like everybody was getting those books leading up to that, and then the actual Death of Superman. It was huge in the comic book world back then.
Yeah, it took them by surprise too, because it was kind of just supposed to be a one-off thing, because they mainly did it because they needed to kill some time because they wanted to do the marriage of Lois and Clark at the same time in the comics that they did in the show. So they had to push that storyline off a bit. So they're like, well, why don't we kill him? And that was always the joke in the writer's room. And they actually seriously did it this time. But again, it wasn't meant to last. Like they already knew they were going to do other stuff. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, that'd probably be the main one I would go back to. Otherwise, I'm not a big fan of much of the modern Superman takes. A lot of these newer writers just don't seem to get it. And You know, to me, he works best in the classic style. So
Yeah, I'd agree with
Yeah,
that.
pretty much anything before mid-90s.
Yeah, good cutoff point. Also, just to round out that, deleted scenes became a member of the channel, so thank you so much. I will say this as well, ladies and gents. In the description box, you'll find Mistaked Reviews live archives. Please head on over that. It's a separate channel where clips and highlight videos will be uploaded, and also the live stream after the fact. So you do have to subscribe to that. You know, if you, I don't have time to watch 2-hour streams. I don't blame you if you don't. So head on over to that channel for clips and highlights, and you can just get through at your leisure. Right, so big topic now that we've covered a few times here on these streams, twice now, I think. Anyway, was Halloween. Halloween ends, right? Halloween ends.
Ugh.
Halloween ends. Indeed.
End it.
So
End it.
yeah,
it.
well, yeah. So this was supposed to be a trilogy. It was originally supposed to be across one evening, one day, one night, one Halloween, set across that, and then they obviously butchered it and fudged it all up. They didn't know what they were doing. They wrote a bizarre, crappy movie that we just saw, and then they came out and said, "Yeah, we knew people weren't going to like this." And you know, they were warning actors, yeah, you know, a lot of people are really not going to like this movie. So I always ask, well, then why did you make it? But now they've come out and said, I never considered making a Laurie and Michael movie. What?
I mean, maybe he didn't at first until Jamie Lee Curtis showed some interest. I'm not gonna say he's wrong in that, but I mean, he's been saying some really stupid shit in the last 2 weeks. Like,
David Gordon Green is going to be doing The Exorcist now.
I know that has me very worried.
Any hope for that?
Oof.
Yeah, oof.
I mean, I don't. How are you gonna top the original Exorcist? I mean, good lord.
Well, it's continuation apparently. I think.
Is it like a?
Yeah, but just to get to this real quick, just for context, so you can all comment on it. We had to decide how we wanted to wrap up these characters. I thought you already did. I thought when this was announced, it was already established across one evening. We know how it's going to go down. So what's that all about? How do we want to make it not just a nice, neat bow on a franchise? Honestly, we never once considered making a Laurie and Michael movie. The concept that it should be a final showdown type brawl never even crossed our minds. I wanted to see where it would go. I wanted one to win, one to die. But we were always more ambitious with that. So how did we want to go out? By doing what no one expect us would do, make a love story. It's our version of going out with a bang and opening our hearts to this community and these characters. Look, I'm just going to give my thoughts first and foremost. That is the biggest pile of bollocks I've heard in such a long time. This not only is a story, is a movie, is a film, you know, a narrative, but also, dipshit, it has to tie into the other movies, and it didn't. It has to, you know, thematically speaking, tonally speaking, fit because it's a trilogy. Fuck me. Thoughts? Anyone? Tom, Paulie, Nick?
I'd love to hear the other guys first before I chime in, because yeah, like.
Well, I'll just say this: I skipped Halloween Kills because I heard it was so bad, but then I watched this one, and I went back and watched Halloween Kills just this past weekend, and I actually liked that movie way better than Halloween Ends. Like when I was watching Halloween Ends, I was expecting something big, like a big showdown, you know, and Michael Myers was almost like a side character in it. I was like, what are they doing here with this story? It didn't make sense to me. I absolutely hated it. I hated it so much that I actually went back and watched Halloween 1 and 2 and 4 and 5 like that same weekend after I saw Halloween Ends, because like I wanted to go back and have that same nostalgic classic feeling of watching Michael Myers in a Halloween movie. And when I got done watching those classics, I mean, it wasn't even close to comparing to what Halloween Ends was. I thought it was a complete disappointment. Probably one of the worst horror movies I think I've probably ever seen.
It wasn't a horror movie. Did you not read? It was a love story, mate.
Yeah, worst love story I've ever seen.
Nate, I'm going to defer my time to Tom, but I will say Elijah Snow said in the chat, an exasperated Nate is the best. Fantastic.
Like, I didn't hate Halloween Kills. Actually, I'm one of the few people who kind of enjoyed it for all the wrong reasons. But
I liked it.
like Halloween Ends, I don't know what the hell I am. I mean, obviously, we were right. Any of us who said that they clearly didn't have an idea for a third story, and this is the result. It should have just been 2 movies at most, if not just one, for all that. Like,
just end it as with him disappearing. Just do that. Whatever. Who cares?
or like I said,
let
just,
someone else finish the bloody story if you can't come up with something.
yeah. Well, honestly, the logical ending after this whole, like, you can't keep saying evil dies tonight, and not kill evil tonight. First of all,
The
You
logical
can't do
ending
that.
is a final showdown.
Yeah,
That is
and that's
the
where I
logical
said
conclusion.
it makes sense. After Laurie's daughter gets killed in Halloween Kills, spoilers, it should have been the ending they were going to plan on doing, only you just finish it there. You have Laurie leave, you don't kill Tommy, and you have Lindsay join, and you have the 3 of them who are the 3 survivors of Halloween night. They go off and they kill Michael Myers. After they're done killing him, she clearly still, healing from surgery, undoes her like stitches or something in the fight, and she dies there in Lindsay and Tommy's arms. And then you have a funeral for Michael and Laurie. End of the discussion. Why couldn't you just end the movie that way?
That sounds
Right?
so much better, Tom.
And it would have made more
What we got.
sense.
No, we had to have a love story, and between Corey and Michael Myers, wasn't it? That was the love story, wasn't it?
It
You
seemed
look into
like
their
it.
eyes.
Something like that.
Fucking
What is he
garbage
standing
movie.
outside of the sewer pipe with a boombox over his head? Your eyes,
Yeah.
the light, the heat.
Might as well have. This was genuinely one of the worst movies I've seen in a very long time. I have a lot of hate for this film.
I was like, what's Michael doing in the sewer? Is he like hibernating down there?
He's been sat there for 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
4 years. What he's actually been doing, which they hinted
Wait,
at.
what's the storyline? Are you serious?
Yes,
Oh,
mate.
Yeah, that's right. Paulie
He's been down there for 4 years. There's a 4-year time jump. He's just been milling around in the sewers. He's been killing people and putting them in mud, making mud pillars with them, which isn't explained.
Wow.
It's just hinted at. Fuck this movie in the bumhole with a pineapple and a spade. God.
Tapeche.
Really?
With Tapeche.
With Tapeche, which I've got some Tapeche.
I've got
some Tapeche, ladies and gents. Tapeche. It's a Mexican drink if you didn't know it. Tapeche.
Yes.
Honestly, I hate this film. It was so bad. Any other comments on this? Just anything. How would you have finished it, Nick? How would you have made this story?
I like Tom's idea to where, like I was like going into it, I was like, okay, this is the last one. We're going to get that showdown, and we're actually going to see him in a grave, buried. He's actually really dead. There's no coming back. And then I saw this other guy who basically took over the movie the whole time and was like Michael Myers light. And I'm like, what is going on here? So yeah, I would have ended it similar to what Tom was saying. That's a much better ending to it. But with these franchises, we'll end up getting a reboot at some point in time. I'm sure Michael Myers will be back in another timeline, in another story. Maybe they'll do it justice when they end up doing another Halloween movie. It's always the last one until there's another one.
God, I hate this film so much. I cannot believe they come out and said this. How do you say this? How do we want to make it not just a nice, neat bow on the franchise? Why would you not want to make it just a nice, neat bow on the franchise? Why would
Especially when
you
you got
say
ends in the
this?
title of the movie.
Well, what's stupid is
how-
you set yourself up to continue the franchise, right? Like that was the whole point of it. Is they're not brother and sister anymore, and Michael really doesn't give a shit about Laurie. That's like kind of the whole point. So you set him back up as the babysitter killer, which is what he started to begin with. And that way you can just make endless fucking Halloween movies until whenever. Like
Just
you can just keep going.
epically terrible film on so many levels. This film was terrible. It fails. It fails as a horror movie. It fails as fundamentally it fails as the third entry to a trilogy, right? It absolutely fails as that. And it fails as a Halloween movie. It just fails on every single level. And it was
It
just
actually
bad.
makes Halloween 5 and 6 not look that bad. And those are the worst of the original series. Next to Resurrection.
Garbage. I hate
Even
it.
Resurrection is better than this shit. To be honest with you. At least that's a Halloween movie. After Laurie's dead, it just kind of becomes a Halloween movie at that point.
Yeah.
With Busta Rhymes. Trick or treat, motherfucker.
Demonetized. Thanks, Tom. Cheers.
The late 90s, early 2000s rapper phase of LL Cool J and Busta Rhymes. In the
He was a
Halloween
good
movies.
idea. The rest, not so much. Like, I actually liked LL Cool J. I'll to be honest with you, I was happy to see that he lived in H2O at first. I'm like, oh, he didn't die. Like, that's sweet.
Right. So we'll get us some more super chats. Go to our final topic because this one may confuse a few people, I think. So let's get to some of these super chats. So Zombie Box Reviews says that scene with the chick pinned under the fence was unintentionally funny. She doesn't warn her friend that Michael was behind him. She just says, "You're dead." Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. That whole scene was kind of weird.
Yeah, like ridiculous. Utterly
if
dumb.
this was Halloween 4 of this trilogy, like we'd already gotten another trilogy and this was like the next step, like after they killed Michael Myers or something, and like the ghost is looming and this kid just decides to kind of pick up the mantle and from here on out, I don't think most people would be complaining as much. I still didn't like the execution, but like I said, if you had already got a logical ending to this other story and then pick up with the, like this is after the fact, right? Like Laurie's trying to get her life together, helping raise her granddaughter and get her back into, life again. And her, then that could have been an interesting story. Instead of having Michael chilling down in the sewers, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's so dumb.
The Mega Wing Zero sent $5 and says, "Can we get a reboot of Captain Marvel? Shazam, make it like the Golden Age comics. I'm tired of him being a joke. That might be just me. Your thoughts?" You know what? Like, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate that movie. I actually thought that movie had a lot of heart, minus all the jokes. Like, it did have a lot of heart. So I'm not going to rip on Shazam because I thought that movie actually was pretty decent and had good messaging. We talk about messaging all the time. That the message of that movie was, it doesn't matter who your blood family is. Your family is those that are around you and supporting you. And that was an important message for a lot of people. That was a good movie on that level.
He might get his wish though in Shazam 2. I heard it's not very funny.
Whoops.
Yeah.
It's all about family.
Yeah, I actually liked the Shazam. I'm not real familiar with the comics because I never read any of the old comics for that character. So the movie was kind of like my first kind of exposure to the character. And yeah, I was pretty much the same. I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah.
My understanding. Oh, go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, that was totally enjoyable. Like if you're gonna redo, I understand it's not Captain Marvel like comic book, but it was a really well done flick. It kind of came out of nowhere. I enjoyed it.
No, yeah, like I didn't mind it. I think they're emulating the 70s TV series a little bit more for this movie, which is fine. But I understand where Mega Wing Zero and some classic fans are coming from. But at the same time, I could see them going, well, basically, if you take the humor element out of this, then it's just Superman all over again. It's the same basic kind of character. He's just basically a
Yeah.
big gold and red Boy Scout instead of big blue Boy Scout.
Yeah, no,
Then,
you're
so,
kind of
yeah.
right there, to be honest. Jessica James says, did my own video on Star Wars news. I want to get excited, but episode 9 killed my hope. Still feel only being involved as a positive. Not much hope still. I don't think there's any hope with the Star Wars news at all. I think everyone would agree with that, to be fair.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So yeah, no, you're not gonna get us arguing with you about that at all. However, that leads us on to this piece of news, which surprised me, actually. And it's a shame that it surprised me. But Harry Potter star Rafe Fiennes defends J.K. Rowling. The verbal abuse directed at her is disgusting. Now, if you don't know anything about this, just a quick bit of background. J.K. Rowling is what individuals call a TERF, which is a trans exclusionary radical feminist, someone who believes trans women are not biological women and shouldn't have access to biological women's spaces, and also defends the rights of women, which were hard earned, and obviously doesn't want that to fall to essentially like a third wave level of misogyny, with a thin veil of progressivism thrown over the top. I guess would that be a fair assessment, ladies and gents?
Yeah,
Or gents of the panel.
For the most part.
So she's obviously been taking a lot of flack for this. People saying, well, she's had death threats, she's been doxxed, like pretty awful stuff. There was a song written about her killing her and stuff like this, which was just available online. YouTube did nothing about it. Rampant, raging double standards. The cast of Harry Potter have come out and denounced her, and yet Ralph Fiennes is, as far as I'm aware, is the only person to actually come out and defend her. Is that? Are we?
I think
Is that
also
right?
Coltrane.
Oh,
did as
right. Yeah,
well
before he died, sadly. Yeah, rest in
as
peace.
right, and that's why some people in that trans camp were actually happy when he passed away.
Oh, that's disgusting.
yeah. I saw a
Yep.
bunch of those tweets. I was like, man, people in this
Yeah.
world today, man.
But
Jeez.
the right
That's
side of
really-
history.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really, really disgusting. How distasteful can you be? Yeah, that's real. That's yeah, that's gross. I don't really know what to say to that, to be honest. That's annoyed me. So anyway, Ralph Fiennes, legend in his own right, not someone that can really be cancelled. He is a legendary actor. Like he's pretty up there now, to be fair. Can't really be cancelled. So he's come out, taken the stance of other people that go, well, no, you can't cancel. If you think you can't be cancelled, you can't be cancelled. You start apologizing and you bowing to the mob, you will get cancelled regardless of your apologies. So Ralph Fiennes, who played Voldemort, of course, come out and said this: J.K. Rowling has written these great books about empowerment, about young children finding themselves as human beings, which is completely true. He told the New York Times in a long-ranging interview to promote his latest film, The Menu, which actually looks really good, by the way. It's about how you become a better, stronger, more morally centered human being. The verbal abuse directed at her is disgusting. It's appalling. And you know what I like about this so much? Is he's articulating it correctly. He's smart enough. He has a great vocabulary that he can articulate his viewpoints to such a degree. Well, you can't really argue with this. You can't. And he goes, look, I mean, I can understand a viewpoint that might be angry at what she says about women, but it's not some obscene uber right-wing fascist. It's just a woman saying, I'm a woman and I feel I'm a woman and I want to be able to say that I'm a woman. And I understand where she's coming from, even though I'm not a woman. So he's literally like, yeah, I understand that too, actually. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. And he also says about cancel culture, so sort of relaying into that ever so slightly. He says, righteous anger is righteous, but often it becomes kind of dumb because it can't work its way through the grey areas. It has no nuance.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's kind of a similar
Beautifully said.
thing that Matt Damon said a while back too, and he damn near got canceled for. But no, like, not to go too deep in the woods into this and get you in trouble or anything, Mr. H, but like they're equating, just because she feels that women have rights too, all of a sudden, they equate that to being anti-trans, which to me is the dumbest logic in the world, right? And that's really what this is all boiling down to. At no point has J.K. Rowling saying has she ever come out and say, I don't support trans rights, I don't support trans people, or anything like that.
No,
All she's saying is that
she's been very
Exactly.
complimentary to trans people in general, and she said, I support people doing, going through that. I think she's even said she has, trans friends and stuff like that.
absolutely.
All the argument is quite simply they shouldn't have access, free range to women's spaces, which is completely justified. No one's right should impose upon someone else's right. Because if you say my right is to take away your right, then how's that a right? It's not a human right to take away someone else's human right, which is just, I think that's the crux of it all, really. The argument that people should have access to women's refuges and stuff like this, without any of the consideration that, people could use that to individuals' advantage. Not to say that they all will, of course not, but would some potentially? Yes, of course they would. Like, it's naive to think otherwise, and it's silly not to have that conversation. Yeah, we are already seeing it, and it's silly not to be able to have that conversation and just shut it down completely as bigotry, because that conversation allows and should be allowed to air those views in public, so everyone can go, oh, well, this is the good kind, this is the bad kind, I can recognize that now, and you move forward. Everyone becomes a little bit more enlightened as a result of it. Anyway,
in 10 20 years ago, like, her statements, she wouldn't even get any backlash from it, because the vast majority of people are like, yeah. And now today's time, it's just like, that's like the worst possible thing, and she should be canceled. And it's ridiculous to me.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, maybe I'm just old fashioned, but I think there's something awfully misogynistic about, men who transition to presenting as female, running around saying we do it better than women. And there's something awfully misogynistic about that, quite frankly. Could be old fashioned, but yeah, I'm not big on misogyny.
Well, and it's not just about women's bathrooms, and it's not just about the bathroom part of it either. It's also about the sports. It's about everything, right? And that's the thing, and that's where I say we're already seeing it. Isn't it? We see the actual results when men come in and decide that they're going to go in women's sports as a trans person. They do what? They dominate usually. And in some cases, women have been hurt because of it, like physically hurt. I just saw the other day, there was it wasn't a huge accident, but it was enough to where a girl got hurt when a trans volleyball player spiked a ball at her head.
Yeah. I mean, it's just basic biology. Men are bigger and stronger than women, right? That's just a fact. You can't escape it.
We're built differently, period, right? Like, you can't even argue that point.
Code. It's our genetic code. We are bigger, we are stronger. Our bone densities, everything. You cannot argue with it. And it does create a health and safety risk when pitting, men versus women. Like, it just does. And for men to not want to protect other women, that seems really strange as well. That seems really nasty, quite frankly. More men and also more women should want to be protecting other women.
Yeah. So what I see with this and with other cases, as far as, whatever the issue is when one of theirs falls out of line, talks out of off script, one of theirs, right?
She's big progressive.
They feel they'll unleash the wrath on one of their own. They eat their own. So really,
exactly, the left. It's a favorite phrase of mine. Is it's the Ouroboros. It's the left consistently consuming its own tail, because it's progressivism, and so it's on to the next thing, on to the next thing, the next
Right.
thing, the next thing, the next thing. And there's no, when you
There's
do
no
that,
ending of a movement and the beginning of something
exactly.
else. Correct.
Yeah. And there'll always
Correct.
be people that draw their line at, you know, where you've just moved to. No, that's my limit. No, that's my limit. No, that's my limit. You know, and that they just keep consuming themselves because they cancel the rest, move on to the others. Cancel the rest, moves on to the others. It's a shame.
Yeah, because if
Right.
the world
So
was
there
as
is
big
no-
go ahead.
So
Sorry.
there is no support of freedom of speech. That's what this.
Mm.
That's. And I think that's what Coltrane was saying. I support her freedom to have an opinion. I don't
Yeah.
think Coltrane even said I agree with her.
Mm.
Plus, what she was talking about was science.
Yeah, this is what I mean. It's just basic biology. I'm so,
Yeah,
you know, I've got
Mhm.
trans people that watch my channel, and you know what? Lovely people, like they've emailed me and stuff like that. And you know what? Lovely people. No, I don't have any issue with anyone. Like I don't care. Do what you want. You want to, you know, you have, you know, a sort of a disassociation from your body, and you want to change it. Sure, fill your boots. You're not harming anyone. Whatever. Be my guest.
Mhm.
You know, I'll respect you if you respect me. But you can't like you can't sit there and impose that will upon everyone. You know, you can't sit there and demand that someone says you are this and you are that. I mean, just basic biology. I draw the line now fundamentally when people go, well, no, this is actually a woman. It's like, no, it doesn't. It's not actually a woman. Shut up. You're also doing a disservice to those that, you know, have previously transitioned and say, no, I am trans, I am this, you know, I am a trans woman, not a woman. I know what I am, you know, and this is the struggle that I go through. So you're also doing a disservice to that as well, which is, I just find bizarre. Like, yeah. Shame. But yeah, on the topic of Ralph Fiennes coming out and defending J.K. Rowling, great. Really good to see. Really good to see. And I haven't been on Twitter yet, but I haven't seen him trending. I haven't seen any pushback about it. Have you? Anyone?
I haven't.
No, you're the first. Bringing it to my attention is the first I actually heard of it. To be honest with you.
Same.
Yeah,
I just got back in town late last night, so I've been kind of off
Yeah.
of Twitter and stuff. So I really haven't seen a whole lot of anything.
Yeah, I mean, this is you know, we're talking like a 5-hour old. I mean, these activists jump on it pretty quick. This is like 5 hours old, so I'm pretty surprised that they've not jumped on it yet, which is good. Like I'm happy about that. But anyone else? Any other comments on?
I mean, you're just
That
seeing a couple of comments
web?
in the actual Variety episode, you know, like 2 or 3, you know, but
Say that again. Sorry.
oh, I said that in the actual Variety article.
Oh, is there
There
comments?
are-
Is there? What's the comments?
There's just I mean, I just see a couple, and it's, you know, they're not comments are moderated. There's like, you know, a couple they left up, you know. So I don't. A couple for and one couple against, one for her. So, you know.
Okay, not bad
Boy,
then.
it's
Well, I guess you know what that does about wrap it up. This stream, very interesting topics, a lot that we got through today, ladies and gents. I've got to just say before we sort of disappear and vanish, this will now be over on Mistake Reviews live archives. It's linked in the description box. It's a whole separate channel for these things. There'll also be clips. I know not everyone wants to sit there and watch a whole 2-hour live stream. I get that. So we're doing clips and highlights. So make sure you do subscribe to it. It's in the description box and turn the bell notifications on. Paulie's channel, the Latino Slant, is down below in the description box as well. Tom, down below in the description box. Midnight's Edge. I still need to put Midnight's Edge After Dark down there. I am sorry. And Nick, Echo Base Network, isn't in the description box, but you will be because I didn't know if you were going to make it today. So
all good. So is this generally the time that you guys are going to do it every? Okay,
yep.
So it'll be 3:00. So on Tuesdays I got a work meeting, and pretty much right after that I'm pretty much
Perfect.
freed up.
Perfect. Excellent stuff. So these streams are on every Tuesday and Thursday, ladies and gents. So I hope to see you all there. Set your alarms. That's 9 p.m. UK time. I don't want to say GMT because Google confuses people with that sometimes. Tom even got wrecked by Google last Tuesday. So yeah, I've got to say just 9 p.m. UK time. But thank you all so much. Paulie, Tom, Nick, where can people find you on Twitter and things like that?
I'm gonna have on our YouTube Latino Slant channel. Gonna drop a video right after this on Speedy Gonzalez. And, oh my God! Check out my channel. Check it out. Aliens fans. I'm gonna have the author of the Aliens the new Aliens book coming out. Jesus Christ. Glad I can be of point of humor for you, Nate.
Well, you're not. It's just a phrase, Latinx, and you're a
yeah, but we were talking before the show. So
I know we still need to talk about that. Tom, where can people find you? What do you got coming up?
You can always find me at Midnight's Edge or Midnight's Edge After Dark. In fact, we've got a show just over an hour from now on Mead. So that's Midnight's Edge After Dark. Thank you so much for having me. And hopefully I'll be back on Thursday if I got time. Thanks.
Absolutely perfect. And Nick, what do you got coming up? Or where can people find you?
Yeah, you guys can find us at @network_echo on Twitter or on our YouTube channel, Echo Base Network, or our secondary channel, Echo Base Entertainment, where we cover all our non-Star Wars stuff over there. We're in the process of working on our second documentary. Our first one was on the rise and fall of, or the new one we're doing now is on the rise and fall of LucasArts Gaming. The one we did before was on the Disney Star Wars sequel trilogy. And we pretty much live stream every Saturday night at 7 Central and pretty much just cover a lot of fan stuff and news stuff.
Perfect. Cool. Well, ladies and gents in the comments, I mean, you can find me over on Twitter at Missed Reviews. Instagram as well, I think, is in the description box. Follow me, whatever. Cool. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Take care.